All right,
Okay.
started.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is our first episode with a proper guest. I am Ali Shamim, your co host with Hamza Abdullah, and today we have with us Asad Hashamali. Uh, for a quick intro, Asad is currently the CEO at Backspace, which is a marketing agency and a creative agency. But for someone his age, I would say he's done quite a bit. uh, he's worked with like Cedar College on their whole like marketing stuff, and I'm sure like if you're in Pakistan, you've probably seen their videos in on your Facebook feed. uh, and there's a lot of other stuff that we will get into slowly, but I think this is going to be a super valuable uh, episode, so let's jump into it. Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, all right. So, like, first things first, you're right now you're working at Backspace, which is trying to like,
Yeah,
I assume you're also working at Kadam, which is trying to shift education
yeah,
online.
yeah.
So we
Yes.
can start with like the most pressing issue during Corona, which is, do
hmm
you think that CIEs in like high school should still be focusing on the syllabus, or do you think they should be moving towards something else?
Okay, so my personal opinion on this is that should learning stop? Learning shouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Okay, but the hardcore studying for the syllabus, studying for that exam, I think people should just take a break and understand is that you could be spending your time doing a lot of other things that you so-called wish to have done
Yeah.
if you were
Yeah.
not in school, and you could be doing that. That's pretty much my stance on it, and I think it's like I'd rather not get so into it because luckily all of my clients that are on the education side of it have paused their teaching, their hardcore teaching for the A levels, and that's very good to see.
Okay.
Um, I'm not saying okay I had anything to do with that. I was not a driving force in that. But what's good to see is also that they are actually building a stronger relationship with their students, with their parent body as well, with their faculty as well. So people are getting very hands-on with one another's relationship also. And I think that's what you guys must have remembered also from A levels and O levels, that you're so busy behind just that grind of studying that that relationship, that human bond goes away. And now people have a reason to actually build up on that. So,
Yeah, it's I think it's sort of this is something that I realized over here studying in the UK, because it's with my tutors and like my education, it's supposed to be hands-on. Like I don't have
mhm.
tests or anything because it's fine arts.
Yeah.
Like in इसकी वजह से, by the way, it's bilingual, so we can like shift Urdu English में
So,
असर.
yeah.
But
Luckily, my Urdu is shit, so it's okay.
लेकिन the one thing that I realized because of all of this happening is कि we actually have the opportunity to build more meaningful and more compassionate relationships, लेकिन हम
hmm
जो run में फंस जाते हैं ना, basically, that we need to just keep on going, we just need to try and क्या कहते
Got a
हैं.
little guest coming into that.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine, that's
Yeah.
fine. We just हम we're we're so narrowed down in just doing the day to day motions, वो इतना habitual बन जाता है कि वो sense of compassionate और जो empathy होती है इंसान के अंदर, हम
Hmm.
उसको practice नहीं कर पाते हैं.
Yeah.
So like I think this
hmm
is, it's sad that this has to be an opportunity, like this pandemic has to be an opportunity to do that. But
Yeah.
like even with the brands like Nike का जो post था अभी,
hmm
that it's like it's interesting that such a big brand has to end up talking about something so human now, right?
hmm Yeah.
So I think.
But so in that regard, I have that opinion as well. But
Mm,
there's actually two parts to it. So for me personally, it's that you will see is that because of this pandemic and because of now the way the world is actually shifting, our behavior requires us to trust one another a lot more blindly. For example, you might choose to order food any one of these given days, even though it might not be the most wisest thing to do, but you still might.
yeah,
Now, how could you? There's one example someone told me about was that, or this either BBC made a video on this or something. Was like if you order food, the guy who's delivering your food, you trust him to be from a clean source. You trust the company that's providing you the food to have a clean source.
Yeah.
But then to avoid the spread of the virus, what you're going to do is you're going to put your money on the porch. You're going to expect that guy to pick it up. and you're gonna expect that guy to put the food on the porch also. And once he walks away with the money, you're gonna take the food. He's also trusting you to make sure कि यार आपने exact पैसे वहाँ रखे हैं, and आप
Mm.
भी उस पे भरोसा कर रहे हो कि यार वो खाना वहीं पे छोड़ेगा and वो ही देगा वो. There's not going to be any I
Mm.
buy
Yeah.
chai in that. So there's that element of blind trust. But then at the same time, I think this also feeds into the education question that you guys had. Keep in mind also that there's a lot of people out there that, for example, yesterday or 2 days ago, अखबार में आया था कि there were schools in Garden East and in Nazabad which were shut down forcefully. This is 2 days ago, after all the schools had been closed for close to a month. And but over there the dynamics are very different. Over there the mindset is very different,
Yeah.
right? Getting those people to understand is that okay, yeah, your child maybe doesn't have to go to school and doesn't have to sit at home. Sorry, doesn't have to actually educate themselves, but for them maybe education is that way out of some long spiral rut which they feel that their family's been in. And also at the
Yeah.
same time, maybe they don't know, the families also aren't aware enough to understand is that okay, my kid now doesn't have to study at a school. My kid has the option of studying either online or having mediums to keep themselves entertained. But these are also families that probably don't have internet access. These are also families that maybe
Yeah.
don't have, you know, 3G capable devices at home for that, or even like, something as small as that, what we take for granted as a smartphone, maybe they don't even have that,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
it's actually a pretty deep argument. I think because of this, you're right. Empathy is expected to prevail. We'd like to think so, but also at the same time, we don't know which socioeconomic background we're talking about in the first
Yeah.
place. In times like these, if people's livelihoods stop, then where we think is okay, we should unite together and support each other. There's also someone out there who's maybe desperate to get some bread on the table or to buy medicine or just maybe like put
Mm.
just get. And times violence also occurs. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like while we're focusing on Corona, like we all have the opportunity to stay at home, take online classes, work online, do whatever we need to, and have social distance. But there's people out there who need to put like food on the table and they need to work. And when companies decide not to allow them to work because it's for their own health and for everybody else's, but that's still like taking away from their opportunity to feed their family, which is affecting them in a greater way than Corona would. So it is hard. But in Turkey, like I've seen that when you order food here, they do tend to like now they're wearing gloves and then they give you the card machine and then they move away a little bit.
Mm.
I'm not sure if that's racism or if that's like Corona, but that's it.
Bit of both.
Yeah, yeah, probably
There's
it will
always a
happen.
bit of both. Yeah.
It always is.
Huh,
Okay,
because
so
this thing did like give rise to again like racism. Like मेरे university के अंदर and like in the UK there are like a lot of Asian students who have reported that people have been acting weird around them. So
I mean, East
Yeah,
Asians have it
dude,
tough right now.
my khala is brown and she lives in LA and she's like some Asian women were being racist towards her. My khala lost her shit and it's like, yeah, tum log ki wajah se to corona aaya and being the typical brown person, I'm not trying to say
yeah,
that my khala is right in that argument,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
funny also that happens as well. Who knew? Huh? Who
yeah,
knew?
No, it does. It does. Like there's a split on campus right now between the East Asians and the South Asians, and it's
Yeah.
like because we're the only ones on campus, everybody else is left. We're stuck here in quarantine. So it's like if we
Uh-huh.
ever see each other, it's like we both try and distance each other for no reason because none of us have corona. I think. I don't think
I
Mm-hmm.
so. I
hope
hope
so. I
not.
hope so.
Yeah, because like also one problem with it is you don't know how the symptoms will manifest. So just about everybody has a cold right now but that could be the weather, but you don't know. So just
Yeah.
dealing with it. All
Uh-huh.
right. Anyway, so moving on from that, it's like you
No,
have a
but
podcast. Yeah, Ali.
yeah. Yeah, okay. Before we like get into the podcast, मुझे
Yeah.
एक
All right.
चीज like because Asad has shared this with me. Obviously,
Okay.
you don't need to like go super personal into it, but
Mm-hmm.
you started working in Pakistan at the age of 19 while you were still doing your uni, right? Which
Yeah.
is not it's not common at all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like यूनिवर्सिटी और ए लेवल से जो जो ग्रुप वाला जो डेमोग्राफिक होता है उसमें तो बिल्कुल भी कॉमन नहीं है तो लाइक
Mm-hmm.
what made you go into that direction?
My circumstances did. If my situation wasn't like that, I wouldn't have gotten that hard of a kick in my ass to do it. So that's literally it. And some people will fall down once they get kicked in the ass. Some people start running. I just chose whatever I could have done at that time, And I knew, okay, falling down isn't gonna help me. If I did fall down, I have to pick myself up by
Yeah.
myself. So that's exactly why.
So okay, so not going too deep into the circumstances or like the
Uh-huh.
narrative or like what happened, but
Mm.
as a 19-year-old, because I know okay,
Mm.
there might be people who are in their teens who are like even in their 20s,
Mm.
because everybody will, unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know how to label it, will have some circumstances, some difficulties in life, whether they be financial, या फिर family related or whatever. So as a
Mm-hmm.
19-year-old, एक तो होता है ना कि circumstances made me do it, right? But
Yeah.
there are people who end up who spiral down, unfortunately, right?
Mm-hmm.
For like multiple reasons. So like, how are you able to flip that switch and be like, now is the go time. अभी ही करना है मुझे, you know?
So okay, so for me, yeah, I think that I was just I was a very aware child growing up. I was the younger sibling,
Mm.
but I chose not to spoil myself, or like I chose not to ask for things which would, like, in the future maybe spoil me in any way. But I was very aware of what situations were like at home. And so I decided was like, okay, if my brother is maybe being ziddy about some things, I
Mm.
should probably not, and that I should be smart enough to realize is what these circumstances are, and see how I can be as less of, not say as less of a burden, but maybe how I can help my parents out as far as possible.
How you can
That
contribute,
was
basically.
not even like, yeah, contribute, well, let's say, yeah, contribute is always associated with that financial implication, but
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like in the emotional sense as well. How can I just make sure that moods are up? How can I make sure that people are happy? How can I make sure that their problems are not affecting their daily lives or their household lives as well? Just making sure that there's aman
Huh,
in
okay.
the house. So all of that, like, and I think that's what it was. See, since the age of 9 or 10, I was realizing this.
Okay.
So I don't know, Hamza, if you know this, but I grew up in I was born in Hong Kong and then I moved to Dallas.
Okay.
So when I was in Dallas only is when I started becoming very aware of the fact is why we moved from Hong Kong straight to Dallas and not come to Pakistan. And
Right.
that's when the Twin Towers fell down also. So
Oh
I
shit,
started
that's crazy.
seeing, I was, imagine, now see, me and my brother actually spoke about this last year, towards the end of last year, of 2019, is like, "Okay, man, it's so fucked up. Sorry for cussing.
Yeah,
Is
yeah, it's
that
fine.
when
You,
we
you
were,
that's all
Yeah.
you
when the,
want.
when the towers came down in schools, in our elementary schools, there was a TV, all right? There was like that Dabba TV, the CRT TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When the first tower fell down, right after that they flipped this news on, and every kid is fucking watching that. Dude, the second tower's about to go down.
All right.
Imagine that. All right.
Pretty
And
fucked
we
up.
saw from that moment to the next 4 years, we saw the social implications also that came about. We saw the financial implication that came because of the social implications as well. You know, we saw it all. And it's only now is that when we can start like putting those puzzles together and figuring out, "Okay, iska ye matlab tha." That's how fucked
Yeah,
up it is. This is what trauma it is.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
PTSD isko kehte hain and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
yeah.
know, so
Exactly.
that's yeah. And then when we moved here, I moved here in 2005. So then, of
Oh,
course,
okay.
like I was aware enough to know, like, okay, why we moved. That's like putting two and two together. So that was that. That's basically why I figured out or how I got that kick in my ass.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
because
suppose.
I think क्योंकि it's so I hate saying this because of what's happening right now, this whole pandemic thing, and it's so hard to not to avoid it in any conversation because it's a universal thing. Everyone is being affected by it.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
even then, we know कि the social implications or कोई भी day-to-day life में implications are going to differ. And
Hmm.
I just hope कि this sense of like even like the reason why I bring it up because you've shared so much of your life with me, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
story of your life with me, right? So उससे बस I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that even if some person cannot empathize with the trauma that someone else will go through, because people
Mm-hmm.
are इसकी वजह से people are with the
Hmm.
whole pandemic, like it's unfortunately unavoidable. But the
Hmm.
beauty of, I guess, on the bright side, of trauma is that, this guy I listened to, Gabor Mate, great guy,
Mm,
and he basically says that just because trauma is unavoidable doesn't mean that it's bad, right?
mm,
There are definitely things that it will do to you that will uh, like put you off track, but
mm-hmm,
recovery is always there. The option of recovery is always there, and I think
mm-hmm,
that sense of even just acknowledging that there's recovery at some point will help you like flip that switch, that
mm-hmm,
okay, ये हो गया है, ये सारी चीजें हो गई हैं, now
mm,
what?
Yeah,
And
but
that
like,
that sense of what if का जो होता है, right? That
yeah, but
Goggins thing, man.
the
Hamza.
Goggins thing. No, but like the one thing though is like surviving 9/11, because to an extent you had to survive 9/11 because an entire race was forced to go through a very
mm.
tough time. So surviving 9/11 is like trauma that probably gets you to overlook and like not have to think that other traumas are that big of a deal, like especially smaller problems because
No, actually, probably not. Because see,
all
at
right,
that
it
time,
doesn't.
I was 6 years old at that time.
Oh,
Mujhe kya pata?
I thought you were 10. Yeah, yeah, you're six.
You know,
Okay. Yeah, you didn't
I was
realize what was
6.
happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. But now when you look
my
back,
parents
you
also, yeah. No, my parents, when we were there, when I look back at it, I'm like, whoa, that's fucked up, man. Like that's what they
yeah.
did to us in school, you know. But that doesn't mean it's I'm not gonna say it's like that trauma was like life defining for me. But
Yeah.
what I will say is like abhi jaake I can start realizing or maybe thinking about the fact is like what effect that may have had on me, sorry, that at that moment I didn't realize was because of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I think that's
okay,
sorry about that.
so yeah, as far as like the racism and the trauma goes, like I remember I was in Canterbury, I think last year,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the most racist thing that's happened to me by far.
Sorry, Hamza. Hamza is gonna
I
get
was
mad.
I was literally walking around and I was going into Marks and Spencer to buy some strawberries,
Mm-hmm.
and and there was this old white woman and she had a little kid with her, and then she saw me and she pulled her kid away, and I was like, it's
Mm-hmm.
very racist considering I'm young, I'm a university student, I'm not like clearly don't look like I
Mm-hmm.
pose a threat to your children.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a very very racist thing, but I didn't really process it back then because I was just too
Mm-hmm.
busy trying to like continue. But at this point when I look back, it's like there is trauma in even the littlest things, like the smallest
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
things.
that's the weird thing because the 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 sad thing I don't know about trauma is that while it's happening, you can't see it happening,
Yeah, you realize it later. In hindsight,
and
hindsight
and
wali baat hai.
and
Yeah.
the we like I'm going to like drop names क्योंकि मैं हमजा के साथ यही करता हूँ because basically if you like watch our previous like podcast, it's basically just us sharing what we've learned through other people like these books or like videos, and
Mm-hmm.
like the next podcast will probably have this guy that we mentioned, Nawal Ravinath. Do you know about Nawal Ravinath?
No, I do not.
Okay, so basically he's like an angel investor, but he talks a lot about like philosophy and stuff. And the one thing that he says is that basically a lot of people won't have the privilege to go for therapy, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that a lot of people will have, unfortunately, is trauma. So the only way to deal with trauma is like through an activity of like self-reflection. So like he calls it like meditation. So it's like you rewind your life up,
Mm-hmm.
like which is what you're literally saying, what you do right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like looking back at what was happening when you were 6, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
you basically uh, run that reel again, and you
Mm-hmm.
live through it, and you basically uh, change its definition then. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can't change your past, but you can change what it means to you. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, and through that activity, you can pretty much change what your past is because human beings don't work with uh, objectivity, right? We work through
Mm-hmm.
meanings of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even with uh like in like बहुत मैं एक mundane object example देता हूँ. When you look at
Mm-hmm.
a chair, you don't say, oh, that's a chair. You say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's a thing that I can use to sit. That's what
Mm-hmm.
your brain goes to. Oh, I can sit on this. So we
Mm-hmm.
look at things in context to our meaning of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know, I think that can be valuable if somebody's like listening to this or watching this, because
This This gentleman is coming on the next show, on the next episode.
No, no, no.
No,
I wish, bro. He was
that's what I
on.
was
Yeah.
wondering. I was like, what are you doing with me as your first guest, man?
No,
Get this
yeah,
guy on.
no, no,
I
no.
wish, I wish. We
Having
could,
Nawal
man.
on is game changing.
Uh, if we get Nawal on this podcast,
That's not a
Uh-huh.
podcast.
how,
I'll drop out of uni
yeah,
instantly. Like I would.
yeah,
It means
man.
it means I've entirely made it because I have an angel investor coming to talk to me for no reason.
Yeah,
So
man.
I mean,
Yeah, man.
dropping out of uni.
Nawal was on, like, he has, like, Tim Ferriss has on his podcast, and Joe Rogan. He has his own podcast. I would recommend, like, people go watch it. Uh,
Hmm.
he calls it's called How to Get Rich, but it's not about getting rich. So that's like,
Yeah.
he basically clickbaits people into it, but it's like a 3 hours long podcast that he has. Eight
Mm.
episode है उसका, and it's in, like, bits and pieces, and it's absolutely, like, I've listened to those 3 hours maybe like 6 or 7 times right now, and every time you
Yeah.
listen to it, there's something in it because there's so much information in it. But I think, yeah, it's like, you can't run away from trauma, so, like, your best bet is to
Mm.
make it help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like all of the past stuff does make you like get to the point where you think about what you want to do in the future, which is like what I want to ask you about your
Hmm.
podcast and in specific, like you were talking about how you like working incredibly hard because it makes you happy. Like you like doing what you do, so that's why you put the extra hours in.
Hmm.
But how do you figure out what you want to do? Like, do you just stumble across it?
Man, so the way I figure out how, how do I get to doing what I want to do? So I think it's you're always told. Well, I heard many times in the past was like it's trial and error, right? So you figure it out, you actually dive in. Now, back when I was a kid, I wanted to be a chef. Did I try being a chef? No, I did not. But that doesn't mean that I eventually can't. Yeah. So I've just pivoted that goal about wanting to become a chef into becoming a restaurateur, because now I know is that I like this dirty hard work that just requires endless hours to struggle and like basically as Ali would know, Gary
Yeah,
V,
yeah.
you know,
Hamza
eat
can
shit.
relate. Hamza worked in a
Yeah,
restaurant.
I
Hamza
work
worked
in
in a
I
yeah.
work in a restaurant. I wanted to become a chef too until I realized that the 12 hours a day of cutting
Hmm.
shit wasn't for me.
Now, see, that is something that I would that I've actually seen that happen also, and for me that's so exciting. Like this test kitchen over here, right?
Yeah.
Open kitchen, perfect place. I thought that's actually one of the kind of restaurants that I want to open up eventually, and just
Yeah.
seeing that I was like, man, I want to spend my weekends here as an apprentice, just for fuck's
Hmm.
sake, because I
Yeah,
want to
but
learn how it is, and it's that goal thing also, you know.
yeah, right.
Um, you want to be a chef, many people will end up going into restaurants while they're in uni to make an extra buck, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're cleaning dishes or they're just, cutting vegetables or like, cleaning the grill and stuff like that. But then eventually they spend so much time there that they start like going up that ladder and start figuring out.
Yeah.
For example, right? So for me, when I was 19, when I joined, before coming to Cedar, I was at Lyceum.
Okay.
Okay. And I always knew is that when I was in O levels and A levels, I thought that after uni I'd become a consultant or I'd become an investment banker. And
Yeah.
then when I'm 35, 40, when I have enough capital, I'll start off the many ventures that I want to do. One of them was also start off a school, get into the education scene. I just so happened to have started off at the age of 19, right? So much as
Yeah.
such that I'm still in it. I
Hmm.
didn't think I'd start Backspace at this age. I thought I'd start Backspace when I'd be again 35, 40.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky that I'm getting to try it out now, mess up now, and then figure it
Okay.
out later. But
So
I
you
don't
just
know if that's
keep. Yeah.
answering your question.
I think it is because like you just keep trying things you might want to do until you find something you
Exactly.
really want to do.
Exactly. I was
Yeah.
a fitness trainer also in the
Yeah.
community. I never thought
Okay.
about actually wanting to make people physically fitter, but I always
Yeah.
thought about wanting to have a very positive impact on them. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
I
food
would love
education
to.
and fitness is like a very positive impact on everybody.
And but it's how you
Yeah.
make of it, right? It's about
Yeah.
how you
yeah.
want to play your cards then. So you
Yeah.
can take all the lessons in, and you can make the most of it. When you guys were at Cedar, what was I doing over there? I was taking care of admissions and community service, but then I was also running around from the building and then screaming at all you guys to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, basically
You
more or
know,
less. Yeah.
that's what I was doing. But then in that, what you guys didn't see was like I was helping Ali and Wazada with his economics notes. I was also figuring out with Miss Zainab how the counseling department works. I was stepping in whenever they needed help for anything at all, even if there's something as shitty as invigilation. But I found a lesson in that, right? So, and I tried to push that in the right direction. You know, conducting different assemblies. Like when you guys had that fire drill also, and
Yeah.
sitting with Nasir Saab, and then also figuring out how does this work logistically. I brought those expertise into my community, and started implementing that in the form of that fitness program, in the form of creating a gym also in the community as well, and doing so many other projects as well. And eventually, हाथ साफ हो जाता है आपका, right?
Hmm.
I see.
But you don't look at one experience just from the sake as okay, I'm a banker, I have a shit job. No, when you're a banker, also you're doing 100 different things, and you could very well decide to look at those 100 things somewhat positively. I'm not saying okay, you're going to be some like stoned guy who's going to look at everything with a great objective behind it, but you're going to look at it as if okay, this is what this is going to get me to do, that's what that's going to get me to do, and then you just double down on it eventually. You know?
All right.
Do you think that's a more of a personality trait? Like, I get what you mean, but
Mm.
you see, like I'll be honest. Like when I took a gap year, हमारे
Mm-hmm.
तो बहुत सारे juniors से, they came up to me and they were like, uh, "Tell us what to do," right? Or
Mm.
like, I can't figure it out because for some reason a lot of people assumed I had figured it out, but I hadn't, right?
Mm.
But just because I got to work, I got a job at Cedar, right? I was working with you. That's when like we started to
Mm.
getting to know each other and stuff. A lot of people like back even then assumed the job was like a hand, like मैंने बोला, a lot of like, I'm like saying this right now, but a lot of people thought कि मुझे बस job मिल गई because I'm an ex-student and I'm on a gap year.
Mm.
But that wasn't the case, right? It was
Yeah.
because I had a certain set of skills that I had been showing, like displaying why
Mm.
it happened, right? And I think what you're talking about is those micro skills, maybe in some way, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Pretty much. Yeah, you put it really well. Yeah.
so I think वो जो micro skills जो आप develop कर रहे होते हो, because like I think the biggest issue with like my reservation with the education system is that there is no concept of
Mm.
developing tangible micro skills,
Mm.
and I think the only way the education system does it is through extracurriculars, which is great.
Mm.
There is something jahan ho raha hai, but while that happens, I feel like even like with Cedar College, we had the core courses,
Mm.
and those were like great to sort of spark, that sense of interest in, or the world is bigger than what the education system or your parents might have told you uh,
Mm.
to be, right? Because वो
Mm.
होता है, like unfortunately in like an Asian context, it's like become a lawyer, become a doctor. That's the way out, and for a lot of people that is
Mm.
right. But again, that formula is like, again, one formula does not apply to specific people because everyone is different. So like coming back to the point, do you think कि being that person who will have, I don't want to use the term motivation or
Mm.
the term drive, but uh, the कीड़ा जो होता है ना, to do better in छोटी
Mm.
छोटी चीजें हैं, just to put in a little bit effort, because
Mm.
I've talked to people who are older than us, like people in their 40s who've done like 9 to 5s, let's say,
Mm.
and I've seen a lot of people have this sense of resentment or regret for doing that, for putting in that extra effort, because then they say कोई देखता नहीं है, you know it's pointless. You still get paid what you were
Mm.
promised, right, by the end of the month. So like, I know I'm going in a very negative direction, but just on.
Yeah, but I think it's also how you end up. Then again, how you pivot against that. Then you could what you're saying right now कि कोई देखता नहीं है. Well, also as they say, too humble is half proud or something like that.
Mm,
So it's about how you look at it also. I, for example, would still I don't think that I should be doing what I'm doing because I know that there's so many other things that I need to learn right now. Have I learned everything in my job and my profession? Of course not. You know, am I the best marketer that exists at my age? Probably fucking not. You know,
yeah.
but But the point is that okay, I have to make sure that I keep itching towards that, that slow and steady level of excellence, or so called. If you see, you can again. I think I saw something by the future last night actually. But should you be a specialist or should you be a generalist? And it's all about okay, you becoming a specialist in your profession, but being externally being a specialist, looking at one thing, and internally being a generalist, looking at 100 things also. And I think that applies over here also. How are you choosing to look at it? You can, for example, at Cedar again. Um, I क्या कहते हैं, I from working with Miss Fatma, then with Sir Ali and with Sir Sherry and Sir Rock and Sir Omer and all of these guys also, and figuring out about different departments, and ended up giving me a lot of perspectives. That went so much that when Miss Aisha came in as the principal, I would have long conversations with her about it. Okay, this is how things were at chapter one and chapter two and chapter three, and this is how things I think should go for chapter four and five. You know, and then that's when I also knew, and I started seeing is that okay, people who just saw me as the guy in the digital media department started seeing me as the guy who is literally just maybe I'm tooting my own horn, but who could potentially run this school in the next 5 years or the entire system in the next 5 years. You know, I have
Yeah.
people who are older than me who came in after Cedar, and now I saw my closest friends, and they're like, dude, when we met you for the first time, we thought that you were like a director or the principal or some shit like that. And that's because whenever we talked to you, you knew everything and anything about the whole school. तुम्हारा काम था वो मतलब वीडियोस बनाना, लेकिन तुम्हारा जो असली काम था वो कुछ और ही था, वो किसी को पता नहीं है.
I think that's the beauty of, like, I think becoming a good, like, that's, I think मेरे हिसाब से that's what eventually, like, is to sort of pivot,
Hmm.
because I think it's a good point to be a good marketer for any business or like anyone.
Hmm.
You need to know what's going on. You need to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
embedded. You need to,
100%.
I feel like you need to be somebody who's uh, technically like the second hand of the CEO, और उसको
Yeah.
पता हो कि क्या चल रहा है, because
Simon
only,
Sinek said this actually. Was that okay, the guy who should be the next CEO should not be the COO, but should rather be the CMO, because it's that CMO who has an internal and an external perspective in the company.
oh, okay.
Internally, if you
I'm
know
not
about, see,
big on Simon Sinek. I haven't like read anything, so
I like the guy's philosophy. I also haven't read anything of his, but see, the CFO is going to look at only numbers.
yeah.
Okay, the CEO is required to be all of those other C-suite level executives in one person. All right, but be that ultra leadership figure that the public needs to see as well. The CMO isn't just responsible for the marketing, but in the marketing process, you have to look at what's inside your company, what is wrong within the company, what has to be projected correctly, and also what are the consumers, what are the users of your product wanting to hear, what do they need to see, what do people who don't even consume your product need to see, whilst also making sure that कि जो अंदर हो रहा है, that is also solid and that you're not shitting anyone in this process.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is exactly that. When I was still at Cedar and Sir Bilal was the dean, there was so many times when new people would be hired and I was just responsible for putting everything aside. Ali, this is when you were also there.
Yeah,
Is I
yeah,
was
yeah.
responsible
I
for
saw
putting
that
everything
happen.
aside
I saw that
and
happen.
going and
Happened
talking
with me as
talking
well.
to them. Yeah. And I just had to give them an entire rundown on what the whole school does, what the idea is, how it started
Yeah,
off, give them, and those would be 2 hour long sessions.
yeah.
I liked it also. Was it my responsibility? No, but it was something that I ended up developing and got better at doing, which then put me at a higher position, or just like, maybe if you're not at a higher position, at least it made me feel good.
I
And I
think,
was able to take that skill somewhere else outside.
yeah, because say previously the two episodes, one of the two episodes that you've done, like we've basically done on like a gap year, and
Mm-hmm.
like our basically perspective on a gap year, because Hamza and I both took a gap year. I had like two. So uh, Hamza, like, we're not gonna get into that. There's an entire podcast of it. But I think with Hakit Jet, now looking back, I think Hamza and I at least for myself, I look at myself as a generalist. I think I'm going to identify as a generalist from now on, because I don't think I'm particularly good at a lot of things, but I know कि कुछ चीज़ों में I can sort of pick up skills and sort of transition them. And I think that's the benefit of being a creative as well.
Yeah.
Creative
But I
field.
have a question for you. I have a question for you. Take, I
Yeah.
have a question for you. Um, let's say you have, let's say Hamza has a problem. Hamza needs help with something. Hamza, name a problem.
I mean, I don't know, like,
Hamza.
What are
yeah,
you
Was
my
studying
like,
in
pro
school? What are you
philosophy.
studying in school? Philosophy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't think Ali
Um.
can help me with that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but okay. For example, I had a problem like a couple days ago with making a YouTube banner for this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So then Ali helped me with that.
So yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So now Ali helped you with that in that regard. But do you think that Ali would be able to help you with anything and everything graphic design related?
I don't
If
think
I was
so.
to zoom,
I
if
think,
I was to zoom in into that, right? If I
yeah,
was to zoom into that one idea, that Ali helped make a banner for the
yeah,
YouTube page. Is that what it was?
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
But then would you also rely on Ali to constantly develop that brand identity and move it forward and make it cohesive throughout all other social media channels? Or would you try to find someone who's a branding expert for that?
Probably right now I would probably have to rely on Ali, but I would prefer to hire a branding expert. Yes,
So
that's
that's
the
the
case.
difference between the specialist and the
Yeah,
generalist.
yeah, get that.
No?
Yeah,
yeah.
all right, makes sense. It's like you can know how to do a lot of things, but you can't do them as efficiently, as effectively as the specialist.
So
Right.
Exactly.
I
Hmm.
think that's probably the reason why I think I decided like के head down I want to be an artist क्योंकि अगर मैं किसी जगह क्योंकि there's this term that's used I don't know कहाँ मैंने सुनी थी but it's like there are two types of people there's usually a T person जो T shape personality होती है basically you know a few things like very few things
Mm-hmm.
with proper surface level knowledge and then there's like one area जहाँ depth में आपको knowledge है and
Mm-hmm.
the other one was a V-shaped person which is
Mm-hmm.
I some I would try and associate more with which is like you have one speciality and your other sets of information or knowledge are something that tie into it but also on the side or one thing
Mm-hmm.
so then it becomes like a V shape because there's interconnectivity मेरा ये कि I see everything as something as that is interconnected
Mm-hmm.
so for me it's hard to sort of associate with somebody who might be a T-shaped person
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the world generally needs more V-shaped people who can like sort of you know uh,
Mm-hmm.
do multiple things because it's like you I don't know like Hamza से मेरी बात हो रही थी about 2 months ago about how like a sense of purposelessness I feel like जब आप T-shaped person बन जाते हैं you can end up going in that direction you know because sometimes you can hit a bump like a plateau
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you can be like what am I doing you know
Mm-hmm.
I felt that way towards that like towards my own art like with painting and stuff like that I felt that like during my gap year so I stopped making art like as Ali Shamim you know I had
Mm-hmm.
like other avenues and I think
Mm-hmm.
coming back to being a journalist I think if somebody who is watching this uh like who's young like let's say in our age group right
Mm-hmm.
after uni or like if you're like taking a gap year or anything you should
Mm-hmm.
definitely like focus on like that's my opinion
Mm-hmm.
because you know like what you did you just जहाँ मतलब opportunity मिल रही थी to push yourself you were doing that
Mm-hmm.
you know like being a trainer you know but
Yeah.
now you don't train other people but you train yourself right so like Hamza can get into that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like in regards to like just gaining skills, it's at this point it's like from what I understand about what you were saying about how do you figure out what you want to do, it's like you don't want to narrow down your opportunities and you want to accept everything that comes so that you can at least yeah, so we can definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
sure.
that cool?
Yeah, yeah,
yeah
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah
sure.
yeah
I need to go apologize to my mom
Yeah,
and get
okay,
some
okay.
tea.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah
yeah, all
okay
right, all right, all right. Let me
yeah.
just pause that. You can just
Okay,
continue.
great. We're back. So, we were like talking about being sort of a generalist, a V-shaped person. But I think
Mm-hmm.
जरा सी उसकी जरा सी ज़्यादा बात हो गई है, and I like to like switch up
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So, and I think we have about 20 minutes. I don't know how long. Like, we're sorry we didn't. I think we should definitely. keep this in mind. Usually we do like an hour long podcast, like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
ourselves. So we have about 20-ish minutes, I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's
yeah.
cool.
Left.
Okay,
So
Yeah,
let's
it's
switch to
so
the fitness part then.
yeah.
All
yeah,
right,
and
cool.
like okay, again, it's weird. ये लेकिन unfortunately हर चीज की बात के अंदर आएगा. So obviously you aren't going to the gym right now, right?
I
But
No.
mean, but you
uh,
can still stay healthy though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 100%.
what's what's
I
one?
like that. See, I like that 100%. I like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just like it when people say 100%.
That's really weird.
Hamza,
I
Hamza,
say it all the
That is
time.
really weird.
Hamza
Yeah.
saying it
No,
like
but एक बोलने का तरीका है ना. Like you don't say
Yeah, it's
100%.
not 100%, it's 100%. It's like
Yeah,
one word. Yeah,
exactly.
you have to say it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
but
like really
see, I am somebody who's been very irregular again with like my
Mm.
fitness and stuff like that.
Uh,
But
mm.
for you, like you're doing a lot, right?
Uh,
Because there's a lot like mental work. A lot of people don't get it, but sometimes doing a lot means you might not be physically doing stuff, but it's always like there's something running up here in your brain,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's like draining. And like with running a business or being in a position where you are responsible for a lot of people underneath you, or like
Mm.
and especially with like a lot of creative work, your
Yeah.
brain is like constantly running. Like I'm gonna use the word running because it's like literally
Mm.
running. So like how do you get yourself into like focusing on your physical health? Because like for me that's been a challenge, and I've seen like a lot of people joke, like especially creatives hote hain, because now I'm in art school. I see
Mm.
like people who are creative, they're like always tired,
Yeah.
and it's
So,
like एक जगह बैठ का काम हो रहा होता है. So like how do you do
yeah. So, see, now, realistically, my routine is like this. Wake up at 7 in the morning, get to the gym by 8, 8:05, then work by 9:30, and from work, then on 2 days of the week, there'll also be tuitions which I have to go to. So 2 days in the week, I know I'm not getting home before 9:15, 9:30. All right. And the other days in the week, if I still choose to be home that late, is because there's some work happening or the other. Now, I wake up at 7 in the morning because my mom has to wake up that early because then I have to drop her to school. And from after dropping her to school is when I can go to the gym. And I think that is literally for me, that's a blessing in disguise because
yeah.
I have to wake up anyways. I know I will need the car anyways. I'd rather not Kareem. I'd rather just take the car myself. So I'll drop her to work. And then from there, she carpools home. And I have then an hour and a half free to do anything. There were some days in the past when I would actually use that extra hour and a half to get to the gym, to get into work earlier, as compared to going to the gym those days. But now what I've started to do is keep because I don't work in a school anymore. I just go to the gym whenever I can, and on the extra days I either sleep extra or I'll just go to work early. Take it. But during this break of no gym and you know quarantine life.
that?
I've still been waking up early. I've been now I'm forcing myself to wake up at 6:30. पहले तो वो एक natural alarm clock था ना by the name of mom. अब तो वो नहीं है.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm
I
saying.
gotta wake myself up. So I've been trying to wake up by 6:37, and I started practicing like doing movement flows and stuff like that, or trying to. I'm not saying I can, but I'm trying to figure that out. And I realized that okay, now if I choose to even have that same busy lifestyle and go into the gym would still be a lot easier for me. So it's about making that habit in. There were times when I used to go and work out in the evening when I was in school, because when I was in uni actually at that time, and because I had to get into Lyceum at Cedar at like 7:30 or 8 in the morning, so I'd go to the gym in the evening.
Yeah.
So I've always found ways to like plug it into my life, whether that be 3 days in a week, whether that be 4 days in a week, whether that be 2 days in a week you know and I've also started to more and more like I've realized is that okay, I need to be active, I need to be physically fit. Literally 2019 ended. In December of 2019 I didn't work out at all. I chose not to go to the gym because I was going to travel. That's when I met Ali actually last. No, not last, but that's when I met him in
Yeah.
London. But even when I was there, I was just going for runs and stuff. But literally 2020 started and my objective changed altogether. My objective was no longer to try and make it to the CrossFit Open and to go RX. My goal was just to stay active and to stay healthier and start improving my diet also. So find that goal, find that objective, and just stick by it. Who's telling you have to do it like 5 days a week or 6 days a week? Do it three
Yeah,
days a week. Do it
I
2 days
think
a week.
it's so funny because like right now I'm like sitting outside and see this super old dude running right now in shorts. It's like
Mhm.
really cold outside, but I feel like
That's London for you, man.
yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
what it
true.
is,
No,
dude.
But
it's
uh,
good.
I feel like even in our last podcast, now Hamza and I were just we were talking about like setting goals. So
Hmm.
मैंने बोला था like set super ambitious goals so
Uh,
that you fail at them eventually because
mm,
you are going to like especially with like in the context of a gap year. And I feel like
yeah.
with fitness it should be the other way around because I've always done that. And the if you give yourself a chance and any room to be disappointed, that's just going to like it's the long game with fitness. That is why
Yeah,
Hamza like before the podcast started, it's like, why are you doing it right now? you know okay, it's
Mm,
like you're fine, you're young, and you don't really notice it
mm.
in your 20s and your teens. Okay,
I don't know. Was that Hamza's question?
I feel like it wasn't, but Ali just puts it on me when he wants to, so it's fine.
nahi,
Yeah,
you did.
but okay, yeah, no, keep going, Ali. It's fine.
But I think like again, just to tie it into the previous things you said, like with fitness, like I'm not an expert, so मैं नहीं
Uh,
बोलूंगा. Like I think nobody over here can claim to be an expert. Asad maybe
Mm-hmm.
can because he's
yeah,
teaching people a little bit,
yeah.
right? But I feel like
No, sir.
no,
No, there's
maybe,
No,
this,
no.
maybe we should have
there's
Bilal Mir if he has the time, to reply to my message.
to reply to my message. No, there's this guy, Jeff Cavalier, who says that
I'm sure
you
everybody
should.
knows about Jeff
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah. You everyone's had a shoulder pain and they're just like googling it and they're like, how do I fix this?
You
But
turns out you just gotta put a marker on your shoulder and it fixes
yeah,
itself. Yeah.
man, he's weird, but he does some things right, I suppose. But one thing he was saying was people shouldn't be training other people without at least having like 10 years of experience actually, achieving what they need to. And you can't offer online training programs. Like one of the biggest problems with people these days, I see it all around me, whether it was here in the UK or in Pakistan. It's like everybody thinks that it takes 60 days to achieve what you want, and they're like, oh, acha, 3 mahine ke liye I'll go 3 times a week, and then by the end of those 90-day periods, I'll just be a new person. I mean, no, probably not. It's like
Hmm.
we'll probably be just the same for trying not to go to the gym again tomorrow, but it's
Yeah.
fine. And I think one of the hardest things with what people face with going to the gym is like they don't find what they like to do, and they
Yeah.
just go along with their friends, and they think that that's also for them.
But you know what? Sorry, Hamza, I'm gonna cut you off there.
Yeah,
I think that people tend to overcomplicate it as well.
yeah,
Okay. I think
okay,
seriously people tend to overcomplicate. It's like, thinking it's like, hey, maybe I gotta shed like 10 pounds, all right?
yeah,
And for that, I have to set this like goal, ke har roz main gym jana hai and ye karna hai, wo karna hai. Man, it's not that fucking simple, okay? And I
yeah,
think you're also, A, it's not that simple. B, it's also not that, that's actually, they're overcomplicating it by saying
yeah.
that. My brother, for example, is the opposite of me. I think Ali met him or no? Ali,
No,
did you
not
meet my
yet, but I've
brother?
seen him.
No?
I've seen him.
Yeah, so he's opposite of me when it comes to this. Okay, he will choose to play any sport on the PS4 as compared to in real life because he just gets tired, right? He just
Yeah,
gets
fair
fucking
enough.
tired at the end of the day. But I told him when he came to Karachi this in January, I told him to just come to the gym with me. What do you like doing? Do you want to throw shit around? Do you want to like run a lot? Do you want to move or jump a lot? What do you want to do? He's like, I want to do these things. So I just made a workout according to that. And the point is that now he's back in London, and he unfortunately his schedule doesn't allow him to, but he could just go and play squash like twice a week or play football twice a week.
Yeah,
One of my friends is in Dubai. He's in private equity. So if you guys know anything about private equity, you know that it's like literally the worst side of the finances sector that you could sign yourself up to because of the hours that that job requires you to do. Okay? He literally is at work from 7 a.m. till 2 a.m. And in that, thrice a week, he's still going to play football. Okay?
yeah, I get
Because
it.
that's what he likes doing. Find something you like doing. And if you just choose to be lazy also, then That's when you maybe have to make yourself a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But again, don't overcomplicate it. That यार 60 दिन तक मैंने बस ये इतना करना है. No man, take it easy. Be
Yeah.
smart about it.
Yeah.
And
Like
if
an
you need that heart attack, honestly speaking, sorry, but if someone has to go through that heart attack to realize that they gotta get their shit together, then maybe that's the only way they were gonna learn their lesson.
Yeah,
Someone
I
like
get
me, I
that.
like to learn my lessons from other people.
Yeah, same,
No, yeah,
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
like
because हाँ बोलो बोलो बोलो.
I have this friend here who's a power lifter, like who's actually devoted to it, and
क्या नाम है उसका? उमर अब्दुल्ला, I think. Huh?
no, Mustafa. He was also in Cedar.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Mustafa Syed, but like he's like a little tank now.
Huh.
He's a strong girl.
Hamza Said's brother. Yeah. You
Yeah, yeah,
come,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
come same gym, huh? Yeah, dude, man, he's
Yeah.
beefed up, man.
You have no idea. The people are scared of him over here. It's funny.
Huh?
But yeah, like there's also another person from Cedar here, Hadi. I don't know if you remember Hadi Khatre.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but Hadi's here too, and Hadi was just like, I don't go to the gym. I hate going to the gym. I don't like, and then people just like tell you that they don't like doing bicep curls or something, but that's not going to the gym though. Like what? And
Hmm.
then we were like maybe try something, like maybe try running, swimming. All of it counts as physical exercise. Like, and
Yeah.
now like thankfully since the winter break, COVID break, whatever, like everyone's been going to the gym, getting something, and like the whole
Hmm.
like group is like getting their runs in every few days, but it's great. So it's
Yeah.
like that was kind of the important part about it. It's like find what you like doing and then just do it. You don't
Yeah.
have to
But
not
Yeah,
do it or anything.
but
and
I
I,
think just stop complicating it, man.
Yeah.
Stop saying "K, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta fucking like go thrice a week for like 3 months and drop
Yeah.
this much pounds. Man, it's just called being active.
Yeah.
Can we
yeah.
start saying that? Can we say let's try being a
Okay,
little more active?
so
Go for a walk,
so on
for
this
Yeah,
fuck's
but
sake,
so
if you
मेरा
have
दोस्त
to.
है तलहा मेरा एक दोस्त है तलहा मसूद. So
um,
during O levels, this guy started doing calisthenics,
Mm-hmm.
and he got beefed up for like he started getting huge really fast for a 14 15-year old, right? To the point that he stopped looking like a 14 to 15-year old. uh, और अभी भी he's like really athletic and fit.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
और उससे मैंने एक दिन बोला तो उसकी काफ़ी क्रूड सी पर्सनैलिटी है, बट ही इज़ अ वेरी ऑनेस्ट गाय. तो अ, मैं उससे बोलता हूँ, हाँ, मैं एक्सरसाइज़ करने जा रहा हूँ. तो बोलता है, वो बीप, 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 एक्सरसाइज़ क्या होता है? ट्रेनिंग होती है. आप हर दिन ट्रेनिंग करते हैं. यू कॉल इट अ ट्रेनिंग बिकॉज़ यू आर ट्रेनिंग फॉर लाइक लाइफ. यू आर ट्रेनिंग
True.
फॉर
That's one.
True. I
लाइक
agree with
लॉन्ग
that.
रन,
Yeah.
Yeah,
राइट?
but like it's like,
तो
are you really training for anything though? Like people who go to the gym twice a
Yeah,
week and
man.
they're
You
like
could be an
training.
athlete for yourself. You could be an athlete for yourself, man.
Okay,
Why not?
fine, sure. I'll give it that. But like that's
Yeah. Who's
okay,
comp?
fair
Okay.
enough.
Are
Yeah.
you gonna end up if you swim? Okay. Are
Yeah.
you gonna beat Michael Phelps's records? Fuck no.
No, never.
But at least you're
Absolutely
gonna
not.
improve your own time.
Yeah, but yeah, chalo, okay, fine. I'll give it that. I'll give it that. You're training for yourself. Fine, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that's the mentality that started, like, that helped me realize that Ali Shamim does not need to be like huge or
Mm,
bulked up, or because
Yeah.
pehle hota tha pehle, because I saw a dude who was like huge in front of me, and he was, you know, looking good athletically, he was performing really well. But then I realized that, first of all, fitness is not just about the physical thing, right? And I think it
mm,
sort of ties into like the whole thing that we talked about abhi pehle bhi, about being like a generalist and enjoying. उसके अंदर एक
mm,
enjoyment का बहुत बड़ा level होता है, because I see a lot of people saying कि like मैं अपने एज ग्रुप की बात कर रहा हूँ, because that's what I understand, like especially in A levels, you know uh, and in the whole uh,
mm,
idea of finding what you will do in your life. कुछ लोग
mm,
होते हैं कि यार मैं फिलोसफी नहीं लूंगा, या फिर मैं साइंसेस नहीं पढ़ूंगा, क्योंकि वो तो अ, बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड होता है या बहुत डम होता है, या फिर दे हैव दिस परसेप्शन ऑफ इट. आई थिंक with gym and like training, it's the same thing, right? People have a
mm.
perception of it, but the perception is built on how unenjoyable it is, uh, because
Yeah.
certain type of people do it.
Mm,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know like I'll be honest, like I think I got lucky because मैं uh, like even now, if you were to give me, like, in O levels, I didn't understand accounting at all. Like I cheated on tests, like I'm saying it straight up, or
Yeah,
exams.
yeah, no, no, no.
I,
But
like
I
I
conceded. Yeah, no, no, got through Cedar cheating. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
नहीं नहीं सीडर में नहीं ना
No, no,
accounting
it was pretty
but
easy.
it was so weird I don't understand why my uh, like accounting teacher didn't see it क्योंकि tests के अंदर I would be scoring like 80s and 90s और exam के अंदर I would failing right so it's like or accounting के अंदर it's math it's literally plus minus so I don't know if he like he even noticed but उस वक्त मेरा ये परसेप्शन होता था यार मैं आर्टिस्ट बनूंगा अकाउंटिंग का क्या फायदा भाई मैं I don't like it, it's so dry. I'm not enjoying it. And like it's funny because 2 years down the line, eventually once I started uh, thinking about life in a more holistic manner, I realized how important it is and how enjoyable it is. और अब मैं अपने free time के अंदर I watch videos on like investment and accounting, you know. Uh,
Yeah. Because
so
that's the shit that they didn't teach you in school, which is actually what is more real life.
yeah,
If anything, I'm so grateful for my accounts teacher because she said to me in class 10 was that, Dekho, what's going to happen is when you end up and you work for yourself, or if you choose to work for yourself, you're not going to use any of these terminologies. All you're going to do is pull out a fucking Paragon का वो register, 4 लाइनें खींचोगे तुम और उधर ही प्लस माइनस करते रहोगे बस इतनी अकाउंटिंग तुम करने वाले हो, right? So it got me to start thinking of it in a more like, okay, now let's just learn it for the sake of learning it rather than for the sake of, yeah, I need this kind of a thing. And based off what you're saying, to be very honest, Ali, if I was to stop going to the gym for any given circumstances, I would not stop training because you guys, I think, are super aware already. Like, you guys are far ahead of where you are now as compared to what me and my friends were back at that age, that you need to adopt healthier habits,
yeah,
and you need to take care of yourselves, you need to take care of your body and your mind. No matter whatever choices you make, you have to use the 80-20 principle for everything, right? Because that's what's going to keep you healthier and get you going for the longer term with whatever you want to get going with.
yeah,
So if I stop going to the gym, I'm gonna substitute that with something like maybe running, like cycling, or fucking yoga. Even though
yeah.
I'm not a big yoga guy, but still might. Maybe it
I,
might just
I,
like
I'll,
I
I'll be
might
honest.
accept it a lot more.
I think yoga is a game changer.
Yeah, it is.
I agree. I agree. But am I one to do it? No.
Yeah,
But that
same. I
doesn't
don't
mean
do
that
it.
I'm
मैंने एक
no.
बार
But
किया,
but I just might. Who knows?
yeah,
Maybe
Yeah.
when we come out of this, when we come on the other side of this whole quarantine business, we might just decide to like be
Start
so
taking hot
fucking
yoga. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Fair enough. Okay.
Uh,
That's one way.
uh.
Okay. Are we wrapping up, Ali?
yeah. I think this was a solid, good episode.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite happy with it. Like, but after like, do you have anything that you want to like share to sort of end this up? Uh,
No, actually, I don't. But I do have a question for you two. Is that what got you guys to actually start this?
Oh.
oh, okay. We haven't
Go
we
for it.
haven't shared this actually, but basically, there's a lot of shit happening in my life. There's a lot of shit happening in Hamza's life.
Yeah.
And Hamza and I, you have different types of friends. Like in Hamza and I are the type of friends who talk pretty much every single day. And I was just like, "Okay, yaar, I need to
You
make
don't want to use the word best friends?
best friends." Yeah, but it's best friends.
Uh,
No,
In
I
this,
don't like that because then you're limiting it to like, oh, like Ali is the number one. No, Ali is like
yeah,
the one I talk to about certain things. There's friends for every different aspect of
yeah,
your life. That's the way
and
you do it,
and
right?
best friends के
That's
बहुत
like,
अजीब
okay,
अजीब connotations होते हैं, so we avoid. I
yeah,
don't. I just say I have close friends, right?
okay.
Like even with Asad, like I consider you like a
I
brother. Like,
agree with you, man. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, I get
I'm
that, but
just
like
messing with
some,
you.
some
Ali is just
people are
explaining
like
himself.
that.
Let's skip it.
But anyways, I was like, the thing is, this is not the first time I have started a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Or I have shot a podcast. मैं
Mm,
हमजा को बहुत टाइम से convince कर रहा था. We basically did a blog during our gap year uh,
mm,
Yeah.
with the name of हमारी चाय. It was on tea.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was
right?
literally on chai.
It was about chai. It was not about our lives or anything. But uh, मैंने उससे बोला यार we talk about a lot of valuable things because हमारी conversations aren't like यार वो बच्ची उसका ये सीन हो रहा है हम होती है ऐसी बात नहीं है but
mm.
होती है.
उसके अलावा भी there's a lot of
इतने
valuable
दूध
stuff
के तो लेवे नहीं हो तुम लोग लेकिन
yeah
नहीं नहीं नहीं,
कुछ भी
आजकल
नहीं
तो
होता
माशाल्लाह
but
साफ साफ है.
but it's like, okay, I was like, Hamza, like, let's put this out somewhere,
Yeah.
because I think I just felt like I need to find more friends जो
Mm-hmm.
ऐसी चीज़ों की बात करते हैं, because like you are, like Asad, you are one of those friends, right? But um, because I can't find friends or people like that often, एक sense of community बना लेते हैं, and because we weren't talking that regularly these days, तो I was like कि अगर अब करना है तो मैं मुझसे बात, तो ये YouTube पर जाएगा,
Yeah,
क्योंकि
like
अगर
honestly.
अगर in the future
Uh,
we can monetize this, we can make something out
it's
of
like
this, why not? Let's
yeah.
build something together.
Like Ali
Yeah.
always tries to record even like anything we're doing, whether it's playing a PUBG game online, whether it's talking. He just tries to record it and he wants to post it on everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that yeah, so then
And there's a
But
lot of
hats
stuff like,
off to you guys for keeping it so simple. You didn't overcomplicate it. Like Ali's seen how I tend to maybe overcomplicate it or use
I've
that
also done
against
that.
me. Yeah,
I've also done that.
that's
But
good. Yeah.
uni में आकर I've realized now they basically use this term. It's called think like this is one of the first things I learned. It's called thinking through making,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, it's basically you don't plan everything out and you start working with what you have, and then you reflect. And with a podcast and like with a series of artworks or videos that you make, that's
Mm-hmm.
so beneficial because um, you can perfect what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
and look at it, not in the ideation form but after it's done, after the execution.
Mm-hmm.
So like this podcast में, like even after ये अभी हमने देख लिया, Hamza and I usually go through our podcasts बाद में भी, and then we think about अच्छा ये ऐसा होगा. So like if you look at our first thumbnails to eventually बाद में, तो it's like the first thumbnail does not need to be perfect or anything. Like just put it out, you know. एंड पहला हमारा बहुत मिनिमलिस्टिक गोल था कि एक पॉडकास्ट होगी हफ्ते में एक दफा,
yeah, then Corona
संडे को.
happened, so now we have time.
So
A
now we
lot of
have
Very
time.
good. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's been
But
a
like
Yeah, I love it.
yeah,
so
the
this is
only
that's one reason. Also, I think Hamza started a blog as well. Uh, तो उस वजह से we both also needed like a external creative
Mm.
outlet जो इतनी over complicated नहीं
also
हो.
this is like one of those long-term commitments because Ali and I agreed that we'll at least go for this for 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's good because we both need to like be committed to something for a long
yeah,
time
yeah.
without changing anything. Yeah, so it's like great. That's basically
So
the
you're
only
good, yeah.
reason. Yeah,
Awesome.
right.
That's great, dude.
But yeah, man. Just to wrap this up. Asad ke sare socials, all Asad's like socials are going to be in the description below. Go check out all of the massive links जो नीचे
Yeah,
होंगी. But I think
thanks. Yeah.
असद की तीनों डाल दूंगा और backspace की डाल दूंगा because I think the work that's happening at backspace is good and also at Kadam. And yeah,
Thank you
I
very
hope
much.
this is published this coming week. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for coming on.
खुदा
Thank you,
हाफिज.
guys. Take care.
Right.
Have a good day.
All right. Thank
And
you.
good luck for the journey ahead.
Yes, and you too on the whole behind the
Likewise.
grind.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye bye.
See you. Bye-bye.